Good afternoon and welcome to the 2021 Viridian Residential Association Elements at Viridian and Viridian Commercial Properties Annual Meeting. Our first order of business is to call the meeting to order, and we're doing that now. The second order of business is to approve the 2020 annual meeting minutes. Do I have a motion for that? Thank you very much. Do I have a second? Thank you very much. All in favor? Minutes pass. I'd like to first do some introductions on our staff. First of all, we have Donna Courtney, our operations coordinator. Beverly Shea, our administrative assistant. Jordyn Vilaros, our lifestyle director. Gabriella Chateau, our lifestyle associate. Michelle Randall, who is the director of our Lakeview Event and Conference Center. Giovanni Torres, who is our covenants coordinator. Joe Gonzalez, who is one of our maintenance technicians. And then also new to us right now is Matt McComas, and he is another one of our maintenance technicians. The Elements at Viridian staff: Kristi Hulme is our lifestyle director, and Roger Villarreal is our maintenance technician. I'd also like to introduce you to Brett Wicklin, who is with CCMC, who is the management company, and he is the vice president with CCMC. Next, I'd like to introduce you to our board of directors. First, we have Howard Porteous, who is our board president. Robert Kimball, who is our vice president. Jason Berind, who is our treasurer. And Deborah Mears, who is our secretary. Also on our board, we have an advisory board committee, and those members are Jill Spencer, Michelle Duell, David DeVries, and Betsy Alfield. I'd like to give you a little bit of an update on the COVID-19 situation at Viridian, and I know that everybody's aware that our governor had gone on TV and expressed a desire to suspend the masks and everything for the state of Texas. In view of all of this, in talking with our board of directors, we've decided to remain the same, still have our social distancing, still have wearing of masks at all events, and then we will still be limiting the number of people at these events. We're going to take a look at this probably in another month and see how everything is going, and we may make more adjustments to that at that point in time.
Welcome everybody to our second virtual HOA Viridian Residential Association board meeting. We look forward to the day when we can be under the tent all together again. I'm certainly hopeful that'll be next year. So I'm Bob Kimball. I'm on the board of the association. I live on Blue Lake Boulevard, and this is my business partner, Howard Porteous.
And I also live here in Viridian on Blue Lake. So enjoy it.
We're both all in like you guys are. We love this place. So we'll go ahead and get started and just go through some of the topics that we know everyone's interested in. But before I do that, let me just say thank you again for all the prayers for Carrie. She is rehabbing in Viridian, and we have certainly enjoyed being able to take advantage of the trails as she's able to get out on a handicap recumbent tandem and exercise. So just the constant outpouring of love and support from this place and you guys has been amazing. and I'm so thankful that we're here. Also, from a COVID perspective, I think we're learning. In fact, I know we've learned that having these trail systems and all this connectivity in the parks and the philosophies that we have ingrained in this community, who knew that they would help keep us as mentally healthy as we can be in such a difficult environment. So I know it's with spring coming, we're all pretty excited about the weather warming up and being able to get outside on the trails again. And I look forward to seeing you guys down at the sailing center or on the trails. So also as your development manager, the Nehemiah Company, on behalf of Johnson Development, we're your development manager. So Howard and I have been involved in this project from day one, and we got to vision it, and so we're responsible for things you love and things you hate. So, and you guys are vocal, so we know both, right?
They share both.
And some of our design philosophies, I'm sure, can be a little frustrating at times, but our goal is to slow the traffic down and create an environment where people can get outside and walk around and be reasonably unharassed by vehicular traffic, if possible. But it's a challenge. So here goes. The first thing that I've been asked to just update you on is just what's going on with the town center or the commercial areas. So in the life cycle of a development, you have to get the people in and the families in first, generally before you can have any significant growth in commercial. Because we're an infill area with all this existing commercial, we've been able to start that a little earlier in some areas, and we're a little late in other areas. So where we're early, I think, is certainly what Moji did across the street on Collins. He's got 3 new restaurants that are in the process of finishing their improvements and going in out there, so we're excited about that. The residential component with streetlights looks like it's going to be a big success. Phase 2 of that project will start this year. Some of those units, some of those 3-bedroom units are leasing for $3,500 a month, which is more than my mortgage payment. So it's amazing how nice that place is. They did a great job. So I think all of us, or at least I am, those of us that have toured it, are very pleased. So the housing component will continue to grow. You're going to see more streets in the town center area on the north end, north of Blue Lake. There'll be some townhomes for sale, townhomes for rent there. There'll be another phase of the streetlights rental multifamily that's going to go into the north. And then the senior living piece, those folks have been hit pretty hard by COVID. They're still coming, but they've had to delay the start of their construction till towards the end of the year this year. So we won't see any real activity there until 2022. But they're still under contract. We just extended their contract. They put up some additional earnest money. So we feel pretty good, as you can feel, about somebody coming, that they're still coming. So that's an important housing choice for us, and so we really want that to come. I think there were some other questions about our architecture. So in the south of Blue Lake, north of Viridian, Park Lane, we're really trying to save that area for hopefully a boutique grocer. We're having conversations with a developer out of Houston and a grocery store operator. There are no guarantees. These are very serious conversations, though, and we'll keep you posted if we're able to get a deal with them. But please know that it's never done until they break ground. So I don't want to declare victory yet, but we are working hard at trying to get a boutique grocer in here to serve our needs in that regard. In the meantime, the new 7-Eleven's under construction. Hopefully those guys will wrap up construction June, July.
June when they're supposed to open.
So at least we'll have some convenience choices and fuel closer to us, and a nice place to refuel across the street over there. We worked hard with them to bring the architectural standards up, and so that's nearing completion in the next few months. So we're excited about that. You'll see some new entry features going in on Blue Lake Boulevard as well as we start to build some of the hardscape elements of the town center. Most exciting, though, is the Unity Cafe. And it's our beer garden that we're going to be building. It's going to be an outdoor venue with festoon lights and DG and tables and games and programming, and there'll be food and food trucks and cold beer, and it'll be an opportunity for us to get together. And Tony Retigliani, who managed and ran and owned Urban Alchemy, is going to be operating Unity Cafe for us. So we're excited to have Tony. He's a really quality guy and a good operator. I think you'll enjoy getting to meet Tony. Tony will also be running the new coffee company, Nehemiah Coffee Company up on Lamar, that will open up in July and August. So there's some new, cool retail things happening in our area, and we're excited to be a part of a couple of those, along with Moji Haddad, who's the developer on Water's Edge across the street. So stay tuned. As we hear more about what's possible there, we'll certainly pass it on to you in the town center as things come along. But we're getting a good start at it. I think we've got a nice start so far with the medical and the housing and the restaurants across the street and the beer garden. That's a lot. And so we still want more, and we'll keep working at that. It doesn't hurt that in the last 12 months, we've moved over 500 new families into Viridian. And it looks like we're on that pace. And along with streetlights families that are coming in, we could be looking at 800 new families in the next 12 months. So it's quite remarkable, the growth that we're experiencing. All of that helps get us closer to the day when we can have some expanded activity in the commercial area. The style of architecture in the commercial area, it will be probably more like what you see at the daycare. We're taking hints from the Lake Club and the daycare, and even street lights with their multifamily use the white stucco along with their colors. So we're trying to tie everything together as we do more development between Blue Lake and Viridian Park Lane. So that's what you can expect from an architecture standpoint. On the second amenity, I'm going to let Howard give you a quick update on the timing of the next amenity center that would be built in what we call Planning Area 2, but on the east side in the new areas that are under development. Howard, you want to give us a quick update?
So we've been going through the design process currently, and we're almost complete with that. I saw a question about what's contained in it. So it is a meeting gathering center inside that'll be conditioned together with restrooms, and then 2 pools, our signature infinity waterfall that we always like to put in them. And then this one, the new improved version, has pickleball courts, has 2 larger sized pickleball courts that do meet the regulation sizes. We've had it looked at by a lot of different people, and we hope to break ground on that in the end of the 3rd quarter, and go forward there. If we can move it up a little bit, we will, but it's still got to go through the approval permit process. But and the architecture is going to be along the lines of what the Magnolia in the Elements is, which we're sitting in right now, which turned out amazingly beautiful. And so I think it'll be an incredible addition to the project. It's located right adjacent to Storm Park to the basically southeast. And it's an overlooking peninsula that looks kind of rounded and overlooks the lakes. So as we tend to not do, we didn't put it in the worst location, we put it in the best. Because that's the piece that everybody in the community shares, and I think it'll be very exciting. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Pickleball, since you brought it up, really one of the things that makes our community strong are our community groups. So I want to thank all of those of you who have volunteered in leadership in all these different aspects, whether it's tennis or pickleball or the sailing center advisory boards and foundation for what they're doing out on the sailing center activities, the sportsmen's clubs and what's happening in Viridian, Facebook pages, and all the different things that people do trying to be super positive, keep everything on a really high road conversation level. We're really grateful for you and your leadership and what you do to unite our community instead of divide it. I think that's really important today, that we try hard. You know, we can all find reasons to disagree with each other. It's a lot harder to look out for the things that we all agree on and we're working on together. So these community groups that have formed in Viridian organically are really the backbone, and it's what makes it different. It's why I hear repeatedly from many of you that you lived in your old neighborhood before and maybe only knew a few neighbors, and you moved into Viridian and all of a sudden you've got all these new relationships. And that's by design. The way this neighborhood was built was to get us out of our houses and to provide enough resource to take care of this place, both socially to have money to do events and physically to take care of the infrastructure. So the community groups are a real important piece in that. We normally highlight those, and everyone has a table when we do our annual meeting. So next year we'll make a real effort when we can all be together again to highlight those community groups. So I just want to encourage you to get involved in one. And I want to thank everybody. The work that went on at the Sailing Center this last year, the membership there more than doubled. It just exploded because it was a relatively safe activity in a COVID environment. So we were still able to gather. And if you've never sailed before, don't worry. Come on down there, and there's paddle boards you can rent, and there's exciting new additions down there. So that's another amenity that you should take advantage of. All made possible by our public-private partnerships that we have with the city, the county, the hospital, and the college district. So let me visit a little bit. We've had a lot of questions about taxes. So Viridian is very fortunate that we have a structure that goes on for over 30 years, where the taxes that you pay to the city, the county, the hospital, and college district, not all of those taxes, but a portion of those taxes, come directly back to Viridian to finance the infrastructure. And then we were able to create our own, what's called the Viridian Municipal Management District. It's a political subdivision of the state, much like a city. It sits just over the geographic boundaries of Viridian. There's an additional tax there that we use that helps fund our infrastructure, along with the tax increment reinvestment zone, which is where those taxes that you pay the city, the county, the hospital, and the college, that those taxes, a portion of them, come back. They combine with the district tax, and we use that to finance infrastructure out here. So the developer advances all the funds to build all the public infrastructure, and then over time, as the value grows, bonds are sold by the Viridian Municipal Management District to reimburse the developer for that infrastructure. So that's how it works. Our tax rates for a master plan community are kind of in the middle. If you look around the state of Texas, our overall tax rate on an ad valorem basis, we're around 3%, just depending on the size of your house and what the other taxing jurisdictions are doing with their rates from year to year. And then we have a PID assessment that we pay that helps pay primarily for landscape and some of our public parks, our neighborhood pocket parks, and some of the park improvements that you see around the neighborhood. A portion pay for that, as well as the sailing center infrastructure. So that's generally, there's a video out on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, where we go into some more length on this. But it's, we have a lot more control over our long-term destiny as a community than if we were relying on the city of Arlington. So the fact that we have our own taxing jurisdiction allows us to care for our infrastructure really into perpetuity. And the funding will be there to do that. So it's a very strong balance sheet, very strong financing tool that makes this community, puts this community on very solid footing. And we're not dependent necessarily on the city alone if we have issues. We have the ability with our boards to deal with some of that ourselves. I think that's a very valuable thing. Some may agree, some may disagree. But we think it is, and this quality infrastructure that you see The reason it's quality is because of these financing tools. It's what makes and sustains our housing values, so it's very, very important. So we do pay more, but we get more. And that's how it was structured. That's how it should have been explained to everybody when you bought your house. Some of the salespeople are more knowledgeable than others. So from time to time, people get confused about that. So we want to always make sure that you hear it from us on what the heart of the decision was on how we structured things out here. So that's an update on that. Parks in general are going in around the community. Even after Johnson development is done, there are some additional projects that are in the tax increment reinvestment zone that include a cultural facility to tell the story of the history and birthplace of North Texas, to put our dinosaur and bones and things that were found on site there and tell the dinosaur story. And we hope to partner with River Legacy and the school districts to make that an education center for all of our children and a gathering place, another place to have weddings and activities on the site. So that design work is being done now, and 10 years from now, when everything's built out and the value's there, we hope to be able to start construction, maybe 8 to 10 years on the cultural facility. And there are miles and miles more of trails planned that are part of the mobility projects within our tours. So again, once the community builds out, there are additional projects. But in the immediate future, on the parks right now, I'm going to ask Howard if he'll just kind of give a brief overview of the parks that are coming.
Okay. Well, currently the area in the second phase of the project, which is where the new amenity center is, in that area, we just completed the 2C, which doesn't mean a lot to people, but that's an initial area that was developed just across from the models on the bridge. And those parks are pretty much complete, just a little bit of pickup. We have now designed the next phase, which is to the west of that particular area, and that will, to go along with Bob's theme, include 2 more pickleball courts that will be built over there. So when we finish, we'll actually have 4 pickleball courts that will be available to all of the residents in the community, in addition to the one here at the Elements, where it's just available to the Elements residents. So we heard loud and clear that everybody wanted pickleball, so here you go. We hope to have those done later this year, as the lots in that 2D section are now complete, and we're getting ready to start homes on them. In addition, we have a dog park that's been under design for quite a while, and I hope to build that this fall. And that is a multi-acre dog park that is in the property we call the Armentrout property, and which is near where the interactive center that Bob was talking about goes. And that'll have 2 different sections of it, which will be basically a large dog and a small dog, or as I call them, snack-sized dogs. But anyway, that's something we've also heard from the current dog parks that we have, is the challenges with the bigger dogs and the little dogs, that we need some separation. So we created that. That'll be forthcoming. And in addition, we now have some new trails that have been added. So you can now walk from all the way up to, you can walk all the way from basically the old area down by the new bridge to the island, all the way up into and across the bridge into the Elements on trails. So the only place you would have to walk basically on the road is the sidewalks adjacent to the bridge over into the Elements. So there's pretty incredible walkability. There's currently 2 access points into River Legacy, and ultimately there will be 4. So we're also under design for the sidewalk and the bridge that goes over to the golf course, and we're working through the logistics with FEMA and the Corps of Engineers to get that progressing. I'm hoping to be able to build that this fall as well. So the parks are always continuing. We're designing the new ones for the second phase of the Elements, which kind of has a really cool center, like Boston Commons-ish, if you will, and that'll be the game area, which we plan on having a multitude of different interactive areas within there for cornhole and gathering and some other pleasant surprises. So we'll leave some of that as a surprise. But the parks are great.
One surprise for you is I had a new idea on another bridge.
Oh, I already believe me know about you, and I'll talk about that later. It's always spending money we don't have. He likes to shop.
Not true.
Well, we
Not
do have
true.
the money. He just likes to shop.
Not true.
We do have different shopping habits.
Howard, that's not fair. You show me your wine budget. I think you have worse shopping habits than I do.
No, that depends on your perspective, once again.
Okay.
For those of you that don't know, I like wine.
Howard loves wine. Concerns on landscape not thriving throughout the community. There were some concerns. Our ecosystem is more complicated than we probably have time to even go through. The nature of the water, the salinity of the water, the soils, and we have varying conditions out here. It's amazing how they vary. So it takes time to get landscaping established in the new areas in particular. We lose a lot of plant material sometimes in the early years. This year, I have no idea what the long-term impacts. We're not going to know probably for months, and could be years on a few of the trees on the impact of this freeze that we had and the damage to our plant material. So this will probably be as rough a spring on our landscaping. The men and women that maintain and that are out there every day, weed eating and working, they do a really good job. I will say that we have transition issues that we've identified on handoffs from construction to maintenance. From time to time, we're building so much that our maintenance teams even get confused sometimes about what's under the warranty and maintenance of construction and what's flipped over to maintenance. And so you would think that would be more simple handoff than it is, but when you're dealing with thousands of acres, and it's harder than you think. And we have to get better at those handoffs, and we are continuing to work on our processes. When you have multiple vendors, there's a lot of communication even between contractors that work for us. So we're working on that. Ron and his team at the HOA do a great job at trying to head all that stuff off at the pass. Unfortunately, a lot of that's outside of their control when it's with Howard and I, and we're super slammed on all the activity and trying to keep lots out in front. So give us a little grace. Take a picture of what you see and send it to Ron. Please alert us when you see water leaks in particular. The water system out here is massive, and I can no longer go look at all of it. So when you see water bubbling up somewhere when a sprinkler system's on, please take a picture. Give us a general location of where it is, because a lot of times we get a picture of just the faucet, and that doesn't help us. Yeah. We need to see it in context. But
you can drop a pin on Google and send that to us as well, because that'll take us right to it. Yeah. So that's very helpful.
Now, outside of Viridian, we hear constantly how bold we are and how great our landscaping is, and how they wish that in their part of the city, their public landscaping, particularly in their parks, was as well maintained as ours is. So as much as we all have gotten used to the quality level and we fuss when it's not up to that standard, please know that our standards are as high as anywhere in Arlington. And we're living that and experiencing it. And I think our men and women that are out there doing that work are doing a really bang-up job. But it's a big job, and it gets really hard when we have a system failure or a weather event or a process problem. So please continue to communicate with us where we're falling down and we're not meeting the standards that we all know and love out here, and we'll jump on it as fast as we can get to it. And we will be adding, of course, more people as we grow. 2,000 acres is a lot to say grace over, for sure. So there's a lot of different responsibilities out there. We have different landowners. There's things that the city owns and maintains. There's areas that the Viridian Municipal Management District has jurisdiction over and has to maintain. There's negotiations between the Viridian Municipal Management District and the Viridian Residential Association on, we maintain the landscaping in the public areas at a higher level to protect all of our housing values than what a public entity can do. So there's overlap between what the Viridian Municipal Management District or the city would do and what our HOA does. That's by design. We designed it that way. We wanted things maintained to a higher standard. And so you have interaction between these groups regularly about who is maintaining what. So it's not always as straightforward as you think. Ron's pretty good at keeping track of all of that, Ron Stevens. So if you have questions about who maintains what or who has jurisdiction over what, Ron would be the guy to check with, and he'll help you with that. The developer, our responsibility is to get everything built and to hopefully pick the right contractors. Because we were the owner, we get to envision everything. And so we do the visioning and the design thought. That's our job and our privilege, I might add. And we take input from everyone, including our investors and banks and you guys, and we try and come up with the best solution to what's left. Our days are probably going to draw to a close over the next 5 years. The community is building out, and our role as developer, there are going to be fewer things, obviously, to develop. Howard and I live here. We'll stay involved. We'll continue to interact with the public-private partnership on the tax increment reinvestment zone. There are projects that have to get done. And so we'll work with the district and the HOA to complete those projects long after Johnson as developer is gone as well. So that's a little bit on that. The builders, of course, we look to the builders to build the houses well and try and keep their trash picked up, which is a challenge. We have
with the winds.
We have our own people that help with that. I think the Neill problem has gotten better, Howard. I haven't heard near as many complaints about.
We have to get after them every once in a while, but we've got the carts with magnets, and we too try and stay ahead of it. So it's challenging at times.
Yeah. So hopefully we're doing a better job there. And the street lighting and community mailboxes and all of those things, we continue to get your feedback on that. We do the best we can with the Postal Service and the regulators that we have to deal with on those kinds of things. Security, generally speaking, Viridian's kind of crime statistics are extremely low relative to the city as a whole. That doesn't mean we don't have things like package thieves is probably the most common. I think we've had a few incidents in the parking lot over at by the sailing center and the tennis courts and the lake club. So occasionally we'll have some organized groups come in and get into our cars, or we've got kids stealing packages. The police department has had some pretty successful little sting operations. I think we had one break-in in the commercial area, and that young man decided to come back for a second try, and the police were waiting for him and nabbed him. And amazingly, we haven't had any more problems. So it really doesn't take but one person to stir up the neighborhood. One or two bad actors can cause problems where we're all frustrated. But I think the Arlington Police Department has done a great job reacting to things when we have a problem, and they've done a really good job apprehending some of these knuckleheads that have come in and disturbed our peace. So a shout out to our police department. We're grateful for that. Fishing conditions and coyote population and preserving nature areas was the next group of questions. Fishing. There are fish here. When the river floods, we get big fish from the river that come in. As far as whether they're edible or not, we live in an urban area, right? So whether we like it or not, I probably would not eat the fish. That doesn't mean that you can't. We don't pull fish out and test them. The water is tested regularly. The city has a program where they test water quality here. And those tests have always come back just fine. I swim in the lake. I'm out there with the sailboats. I spend hours and hours in the water. We hang out in the water. Each of you can make your own decision about that. But as far as eating things out of the river, given just the carbon runoff from the roads that goes into the river and the urbanized environment that we're in, I would probably discourage you from doing that. We like catch and release anyway because we want these bass to get really big so we can catch them a second and third time. Miguel, who works for us, has named a few of the ones in the holes that he pulls them out of.
He marks them with a Sharpie.
Yeah. Enjoy the fishing. There are a lot of fish here, both in the lake in the middle of the property where almond trout is. I think the most fish are probably over in the big lake in the front where the water's a little deeper and the sport fish like that. So that's the update on fishing conditions. The back lakes to the east, probably not as many fish. They're pretty new, and we haven't had a big flood since those were reworked. And I would say the likelihood of catching fish in there is pretty remote. So I would stick to the almond trout and then the front lake. So that's your fishing report. Bob and Howard's fishing report for the day. The coyote population, nobody that I know of is monitoring the coyotes. They've been here from day one. They run around the golf course. They get over on this side of the river and run around. I hear them at night. They're pretty vocal in the evenings when I'm sitting on my back patio. And they'll get pretty close to the neighborhood. So if you had little dogs, I probably wouldn't want them running around at night by themselves, or cats. We have bobcats in the area. The bobcat populations are monitored. The coyote populations are not. There's a limitation on food source for the coyotes. That'll probably be a more important governing. Mm-hmm. But if they were to get out of control, there's plenty of resources we have to reach out to with the game warden to get some help on that. I do know that we're probably overpopulated in geese. That's my fault. Howard wanted to harass them more, and I wouldn't let him. So now we have lots of new geese that live here, and we're getting a little overpopulated in geese. And so we're trying to find a humane relocation opportunity or harassment policy to encourage the geese to go somewhere else without having to have them become goose dinner on someone's table. So Howard doesn't like geese. Mm-mm. So we're not going to hurt the geese, but we are going to harass the geese and ask them to go live somewhere else, or at least some of them, so that we don't get overrun with goose poop on our trails. When you're riding your bike, you don't want to slide out and crash because you ran into some slick goose stuff. So we're working on that. The natural areas, we've worked really hard to not just preserve native areas, but to enhance them. Wetlands restoration and other things that go on here, mud flats that have been built. You can see the ducks like the shallow areas that we've built, and we have more plantings and things to do in the years to come. So we're all about preserving the native areas. It's a balance. You know, there are times when we remove trees, and there are times when we plant trees as we reshape the landscape. But there's 2,000 acres of open space here that will be preserved when we're gone. And I can already tell you from where we started to where it is now, it's night and day different. The habitat in this area with this development has been enhanced significantly. No one would argue with that. What we inherited was quite difficult, and there was a lot of cleanup involved. And now it's this beautiful place that we all enjoy, and the wildlife are all coming back into this area. So the ducks and the geese and the migrating pelicans that come in and the growth in the populations of different things all speak to the fact that the habitat is healing and being restored. And it's because of this public-private partnership. So in this instance, development has been really good for the wildlife here, at least. And that's one of the reasons why we're I think the first and maybe only Audubon International Gold certified community in the state of Texas. So we're very proud of that designation and worked hard to get it. So that's all I had. Howard, anything on your list that you wanted to cover that I missed?
I guess there's a few other items I'd like to definitely talk about. So one of the concerns that we have a lot of people that I've gotten feedback in is safety of our children and speeds through the neighborhood. You know, the bottom line is we need to slow down. I mean, there's people that fly up and down Viridian Park Lane and all of the areas. It is a 30 miles out speed zone, which is the standard speed zone for the city of Arlington. It's unposted other than a couple of locations. Frankly, that's too fast. If you're driving 30, you're probably speeding by what the environment that we've created here is intentionally. The other thing is running stop signs. As you may have noticed, that we've put up some lit stop signs adjacent to the school. Well, the reason we did that is we've had some serious close calls with children crossing the road and people flying through those intersections and not stopping. We're working at putting in some additional stop bars and some other things, but folks, please slow down. Honor the stop signs. Watch out for kids. The whole purpose of this neighborhood was to create an environment that was pedestrian safe and a great place for our children to grow up and be safe and enjoy. So we have our elementary school, so that's my one request that I would have. Beyond that, I just think, Bob and I are very much available, probably more so than any developer you'll have ever dealt with before, certainly more than in the projects I've developed. But we live here, we honor it, and if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask us. Our phone numbers are on our business cards, and our email's readily available. What I can tell you is if you ask us on Nextdoor, we won't see it. We don't use Nextdoor. So if you read something on Nextdoor, just know that it may or may not be true. And the best way to get an answer to that is ask Bob, Ron, Deborah, or myself. And we'll tell it to you straight. You may not always love our answer, but I can't promise that. But we're going to tell you what's going on and how we're doing it. But I've met some amazing people here. We've worked through some tough trials. We've had some people that were unhappy because expectations weren't properly set. And once we've had the opportunity to sit down with them, I think we've been able to come to a resolution where everybody walked away shaking hands and had a goal in mind how to get forward and work through it. We had one of those recently that was very favorable, and I thought that worked out great. So I just want to encourage everybody. The other thing we're talking about, participation of our community residents. The Viridian Municipal Management District Board actually has 3 residents already on it that are and have been long-term residents here in Viridian. So that representation already exists. So it's not a situation where it's a district that doesn't have the best interest of the community in mind. Quite the opposite. It has a very, very vested interest of the people that are on the board. That's the same with how we operate the VRA. We have an auxiliary board that we have involved, and they meet at our meetings, and they offer input, and frankly, it's listened to because they're really good quality people, and they offer some great suggestions, and they participate in the community. So, that's always our goal. I mean, I know we're a little bit biased because we're also the developers, but I can tell you I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. So.
Yeah, Howard and I love living here, and we view as servant leaders, our job is to serve you well and to hear what you have to say, even when sometimes it's hard to hear. There's things you have to tell us that maybe are hard for us to hear. This is our baby, we love it, it's been our life's work, and so it is personal to us. So it hurts sometimes when you criticize it. I won't, but we know that's part of the process, and we're okay with that. And Howard and I both live here. And with your support, we hope to be able to serve on this board a long time after Johnson's gone, because we know where every sprinkler head is, and we know why everything was done the way it was done. And we hope that you'll allow us to continue to serve in the years ahead when the project's complete. But that'll be up to you guys to decide. In the meantime, we're gonna act as if you put us here, and that we're responsible to you, and that we need to make sure that your voice is being heard. So thank you again, and we'll sign off and say goodbye and turn this over to Ron and the rest of the team for the rest of the updates. And again, we're grateful for you and your confidence that you've entrusted in us to make an investment here in Viridian. Take care.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jordyn Vilaros, Lifestyle Director for Viridian. Gabriella Chateau, the Lifestyle Coordinator, and I plan all of the fun events for the residents. We're able to host an array of events, about 170 per year. We also have 360 fitness classes and about 70 social club events. As we're moving forward into 2021, we're looking to host some semi-normal events while maintaining the safety of our residents. Make sure to stay up to date on all of our events through the Viridian Life app or visit www.viridianlife.com. And then also make sure that you do follow the Viridian Residential Association Facebook page. We look forward to seeing you at some of our events.
Let's talk about lifestyle and elements. Hi, I'm Kristi Hulme, your lifestyle director for Elements at Viridian. What a year we've had. We opened our beautiful Magnolia Lifestyle Center in the middle of a pandemic. Planning lifestyle for 2020 quickly took on a new look. Continuing to craft creative, unique, and engaging experiences for you was still paramount for us. But suddenly, your safety was our priority. As a community, we rose to the occasion, and I am so very proud of that. We carried on with a new normal. We asked for your patience as we adjusted our calendar of social events, and you answered with your participation. We shared many virtual events, from wine tastings and cheese pairings to trivia night and cocktail demonstrations. Some of your other favorites were grab and go, food and beverages. We also successfully hosted several outdoor gatherings that allowed for social distancing. The Magnolia Fitness Center remained open and thrived with a robust calendar of fitness classes that grew from 7 to over 18 weekly. Arriving at work in the mornings to see residents working hard, staying physically fit was certainly a highlight for me. We also have a great group of social clubs already organized and ready to kick off. Some have managed to find safe ways to meet during this time, and all are eager to become active as soon as possible. Stay tuned to my weekly newsletter for social club and lifestyle updates. If you're new to Elements and you're wondering, how do I participate? How do I gain access to the Magnolia Lifestyle Center? Simply call Elements Residential Association office and ask for an orientation appointment with me. I look forward to helping you discover all that the Magnolia has to offer. The future is bright for our community, and lifestyle at the Magnolia will no doubt be its heartbeat. I look forward to journeying through 2021 with you. See you soon.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Jason Berind, who is our treasurer, for our treasurer report.
Good afternoon. I am here to present your 2021 annual meeting financial report. We'll start with the Viridian Residential Association. The 2021 operating budget, the zero-based budget, as we've had in the past. Total projected income, $4,127,226. Total projected expenses, the same, $4,127,226. Reserves to date have a total reserves of $1,349,752.75 over several accounts. Those accounts are Reserves Union Bank, $343,074. Access Bank Money Market, $247,656.08. Reserve Money Market, $30,000.04. Replacement Reserves Union Bank, that account has $247,030.40. Texas Republic Reserve Money Market has $237,928.77. And finally, the Townhome Cash Reserve has $244,063.22. Again, the total reserves are $1,349,752.75. For the Elements at Viridian 2021 operating budget, again, that's a zero-based budget. And total projected income of $707,115. Same for expenses, $707,115. And reserves to date, one account, $30,503.79. $30,503.79. And that's your report. Thank you.
We will be highlighting 2 of our Elements exclusive clubs. I am delighted to introduce Jane Zavala, one of the facilitators of our Helping Hands Club.
Hi, my name is Jane Zavala, and I'm here to represent the Elements Helping Hands group. My husband and I moved to the Elements last year in April, and we had no idea what a friendly, caring community this is. Since almost everyone here is over 55 and are mostly retired, this move is unlike any other. Everyone I've met has downsized, some significantly. Some have left family and friends so they could live in this beautiful community and enjoy all the activities that are here. We're making friends we expect to have for the rest of our lives. The Elements is our forever home, and we love it here. This is the prevailing attitude of all the neighbors I've spoken with. Soon after moving here, Kristi, the lifestyle director, found that both Robin Reed and I were interested in starting a group that could assist Elements residents with things that come with being in a 55-plus community. Things like transportation to medical appointments, needs after surgery, or loss of a partner. And sometimes just a visit, phone call, or note, especially in this past year with the quarantine. Quite a number of residents are single and occasionally need a helping hand with one thing or another. Kristi has also helped by putting information in the Elements newsletter and on the Viridian app. Helping Hands is also on Slack, which is the main communication vehicle for all the Elements residents. So, at this point, we're looking ahead. We see the need for 2 or 3 residents to join us in coordinating the Helping Hands group. We need to establish guidelines for reacting equitably to situations. We also realize Elements is quickly growing. How can we keep up with the needs? We thank you all for this opportunity to tell you about our group, and if you hear of anyone in Elements in need of a helping hand, please let us know. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to introduce 2 facilitators from our golfing club, Elements exclusive guys and gals, Dave Leck and Lauri Stoppenbrink.
Hi, I'm Dave Leck, and I have lived in the Elements for approximately a year and a half.
I'm Lauri Stoppenbrink, and I've lived in the Elements for a year.
So the Elements is a 55-plus community, and we found that people who are coming into the community have a strong desire to be active and be active in a lot of different ways. So Lauri and I had the idea that we would come up with a golf group and started that about 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we meet every second Wednesday of the month to do a golf outing. We're not calling it a tournament.
Because it's not.
Because it's not. We want people in the Elements to come out and socialize. We want to do it over the golf course. We come back, we have a couple of adult beverages, we have a couple of awards, and we mix it up by having other people chair the committee as well. How do you think it's worked?
Oh, I think it's great. I think that the feedback that we've gotten has been extremely positive. One thing that Dave and I really make an attempt to do is facilitate the club. We don't want to dictate what we do. We ask everybody to please make suggestions, whether it be going to various courses in the community, which I think is a real plus. We both belong to private clubs, but getting to know other areas as well is really wonderful. And each time we play, we have different people leading it, and they get to choose what the format is, whether it be a scramble, a shamble. We play purple ball, and somebody wins a prize if the team does not lose that ball, which is an extremely stressful thing. So the formats are wonderful, and the people are wonderful, and everybody has a lot to contribute.
And we're excited that probably in the spring, maybe April or May, our putting green on property here will be ready to use. It was put in maybe 4, 5, 6 months ago, it's still a little ragged, but with the spring rains and the warm temperatures, we should have a pretty good putting green here in a while. And I suspect we'll take our golf outings off of the course and bring them onto that putting green at some point.
Yeah, and even have more people participate. We include all levels, and that's why we try to make it a format where everybody gets to play and there's no stress on anybody. It's really all about fun and primarily getting to know your neighbors.
Absolutely. We mix up the teams by handicap. We mix up the teams by male and female. So we want people to understand that they're just to come out and help socialize and be part of the Elements community and get to know their neighbors a little bit better. So what do you think we should do going forward? Anything different than what we're doing?
Well, one thing that we're making a point of is we really have been going, some people like a certain course, so we've been going there. We're really going to make an attempt now to spread our wings out. And a lot of people, some people don't know the area because they're new, like I was, to Texas. So we can start carpooling, and that way nobody has to worry about riding by themselves out to these places, and we could go together.
And I forgot, with the COVID lockdown, the kitchen in the Magnolia hasn't been available to us. But at some point, we want to come back here off of the course, and we want to have burgers or barbecue chicken or something and hang out there with all the nice facilities.
Yeah, I think we're off to a great start.
I do too. Thank you. Come join us.
Hi, Viridian. This is Scott Neill. I'm the founder of the Viridian Sportsman. It's a co-ed group bringing all old, new, and incoming residents of the community together for all things sports, outdoor, travel, and social gatherings. To be a member, just ask to be invited, and we'll accept you gladly. You just have to be an adult and a resident of Viridian. So we welcome you. We look forward to a great year. I know with the pandemic, it's been a little tricky getting everything together, but I promise you, we've already had some great events, and for everything we do, we want to make sure every single person in the community feels involved, and we'd love to have you. So look out for those announcements. We're not only on the Viridian Life app, but we also have the Viridian Sportsman Facebook group. And as your fearless leader, I welcome you and look forward to a fantastic 2021, and I can't thank you enough. Have a good one.
Good afternoon. My name is David Hooper. I've been a resident of Viridian for 3.5 years. I am the group leader of the Viridian Sporting Gun Club. We have a social club that's climbing in members. It's an exciting club to be a part of. We have 2 administrative associates, Mike White and Mark Plume. I have 36.3 years in law enforcement. I'm a state certified instructor in guns and tactical training. Dr. White is also 15 years. And in the military, Mark Plume had special operations and tactical training. We're not trying to make Delta Force officers or SWAT team members out of our members. That's not our purpose and intent. Our intent is to train, help them, guide them, direct them in their shooting abilities. We're going to have competition. We're going to find out who the best pistol shot is in Viridian. We have a team of shotgun guys that we've already participated in one tournament, did fairly well. We're going to do better in the next one. Excuse me. But this is a family type deal. We're going to have events, training. We're going to have outings. We're going to have discounts for our members, which is climbing. And it's been said that it's almost a club that you can't not afford not to be a member of. And it's exciting as you see the shirt I'm wearing. We like all our members to buy one. We have an ID. We're associated with Texas Gun Experience so far, with some hunting companies where our members can go and get discounts. We've led them in the right direction for ammunition, purchase of guns. And generally, it's a club that is going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. We're going to represent Viridian in a way that's professional. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rachel Coward, and I am a U.S. Sailing Level 1 certified instructor, and I've been with the Sailing Center since 2015. I am so excited to tell you about the programs that we have here this year. Specifically, we have the junior camps, teen camps, and also adult courses that happen during the spring and summertime. I highly recommend that you go and check them out on our website.
The reason I love the Sailing Center is the camaraderie, the people that are here, the support system that everyone has to encourage you to do better. I'd never sailed before. When I came down here, I was taught how to do it properly, overcame my fears, and I love doing it. I look forward to Tuesday nights and racing. It's so much fun. And now they've added kayaks. It's even better because I can go out during the weekends and just stroll around the lake. I just love it here.
Junior sailing camp happening during the summertime. It's a really great program for young children to learn how to sail, and this is such a great lake. It is a really comfortable environment for children to get out on the water by themselves and to learn and grow. It is a good opportunity to meet new friends and also get an opportunity to learn how to not only balance a boat and operate a boat, but how sails actually work.
I personally couldn't think of a better place to spend my summer than at Viridian Sailing Center, which is why this is my 4th year here. With an incredibly friendly staff and community, I find a passion in what I do here on the dock. And with the perfect sailing craft for every age and level for experience, we can turn your summer into a voyage filled with fun. So, what are you waiting for? Come on down and let's get you started on sailing into our best season yet.
At this time, we're concluding our meeting for this year, and I need a motion from the floor to close the meeting. Do I have a motion? Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.